joined by Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burchett and Bill de Blasio, the former Democratic mayor of New York City. Great to have both of you here. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to start with you because you were sitting on the set with me. First of all, I want to get your reaction to what we just saw from the mother of Rachel Morin, making a listen, it's a completely separate case with a man who belongs in prison for the rest of his life for the heinous crime he committed in murdering Rachel Morin, but it's not at all related to this case.
Yeah, look, I think it's really important we say that anyone who's here who's undocumented and commits a serious or violent crime, and it's proven, they should be out of here, period. But we still believe in due process in America, and I think this goes far beyond the immigration issue. Now this is about our fundamental American liberties and whether our Constitution is actually going to survive. Whether, for example, if you say if there's a court order backed up by the United States Supreme Court, that's supposed to mean something. That's not debatable. So now the administration is saying because of their own political program, their own approach they're taking to the politics, to the rhetoric, they can defy the United States Supreme Court. I think anyone who cares about liberty, I don't care if you're conservative or you're liberal, if you care about liberty and you care about protecting our American freedoms, you should be very worried right now. So let's separate the fact that, yeah, there are violent people in this country who should not be here. I'm the first to say that. That's a different question than whether this administration or any administration can defy the United States Supreme Court. They cannot, is the answer.
Congressman, this does in some ways feel like a bit of an unforced error. The Trump administration could have deported Abrego Garcia anywhere, and we wouldn't have this court fight. We wouldn't have this threat of contempt. This all happened because they deported him to the one place an immigration judge had said you can't take him to.
Yeah, well, it was reported, and the informant said that he was a member of MS-13. I don't know. Are you going to wait till he murders somebody? These people are dirtbags. They don't need to be in our country. What about the rights of these people that have been murdered, raped, or these kids that have been trafficked? You know, the Democrat Party, it's not my grandparents' Democrat Party anymore when the mayor is willing to defend this crowd. It's not worth it. It's wrong. These are activist judges. He has no power over El Salvador. They'll keep him as long as they want to, and the senator is just down there grandstanding because there's nobody is taking him serious down there. I can guarantee you that.
Well, you don't really think that President Trump is powerless to get him back, do you? As the Supreme Court has ordered him to do. I mean, his administration sent him there. He's using taxpayer dollars to pay El Salvador to imprison him there. President Trump is the most powerful person on planet Earth. He can't get him back?
Well, we also use tax dollars to fly that senator down there to go on his reelection bid, and I can't imagine anybody would vote for him because of this cause. Well, I don't know. I'm a member of the El Salvador caucus. I know people down there. I know people that are close to the president down there, and he can make up his own mind. He has done a great job of stopping crime in his own country. It's something maybe we ought to start addressing in this country instead of kowtowing to him, instead of bringing illegals into high-rise apartments and kicking veterans out. That's the kind of thing that New York has, and that's why New York, a lot of New Yorkers are in Tennessee right now because they're sick of the treatment that American citizens are getting. We bend over backwards for these illegals. That guy is here illegally. It's just no different than if he came into your house and set up camp. You would not invite him in in a welcome manner. He would leave at the point of a gun at our house. But this is out of control. We've had almost 20 million people in the last 4 years that we know of. We've had terrorists, we've had members of the Chinese Communist Party have come over our border, and the left is just openly, with open arms, has welcomed them. We finally got a president that understands that.
That's just not true. Congressman,
wait, Congressman, let the mayor respond.
Do you not care that the United States Supreme Court has issued an order here? Do you think it's okay to just defy the courts? Because if you're saying that, then you apparently are in opposition to the Constitution and our American rights and liberties. I mean, you can give me all your rhetoric you want about immigrants. This is about, do you care about the Constitution, and do you care that the Supreme Court said this has to happen, and it's being defied right now?
What part of murder, rape, or trafficking children to you is constitutional?
Hasn't done that yet, or at all.
Congressman, I ran a city where we had to fight crime all the time. We drove down crime year after year, so I know plenty about driving down crime. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, do you care about the Constitution? And do you care about the Supreme Court giving an order or not?
You
Which
didn't
one?
care about the Constitution. All you cared about was your liberal rhetoric, and it caught up to you because New York population is declining.
Okay.
They're
You can't
coming to
answer the
Tennessee,
question that you
and
actually
that's
believe in the
bottom
Supreme
line.
Court. That's very interesting.
Congressman, you've been a friend of the show in the past. I want to try and get past the rhetoric here about immigration, and I just want to talk about this specific case. In this specific case, this man hasn't been convicted or accused of any crimes. The administration has not yet shown any proof at all. We've heard about a confidential informant who said that he was a member of a gang several years ago, and that was it. I think you and I both know that if I walk into a court and tell a judge, hey, Tim Burchett's a member of MS-13, that wouldn't make you guilty of that crime, much less allow somebody to punish you for that crime. We are a country of laws, are we not?
We are, but the gangs have overstepped their bounds, and they're here illegally. That's what you keep forgetting. These people are illegals. They are illegal. What part of that do y'all not understand?
No,
These folks are
was
here
my initial
illegally,
question.
and they should not be here. They should be deported and gone.
That was my initial question to you, Congressman. The Trump administration could have deported him to another country, and we wouldn't be talking about this tonight, because there wouldn't be a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that they bring him back. There wouldn't be warnings of a constitutional crisis. So my question is, this feels like an unforced error here. Why did they do it this way? They admitted they made a mistake.
But they've been told that he's a member of a violent gang, ma'am. The entry into these gangs, some of these gangs, you literally have to murder somebody. This isn't, and they're not going to walk. It's just like the mob. The mob forever said the mob doesn't exist. They're not going to walk into a courtroom and say, oh, I'm a member of MS-13. Listen, this has gone on too long. America's tired of it. This is what you get when you abuse the American people, and that is exactly what has happened.
Has the administration shown you, because you're close to the administration, have they shown you any proof that he's a member of a gang?
They just said that he was. That's good enough for me. I've been with too many people that have lost loved ones to illegals in this country, and and they're ruthless. These gangs are ruthless. Do you expect them to tell the truth? I mean, that's what we're saying. They're on the honor system now. They're here illegally. What part of that do you all not get?
So just to summarize, you don't believe in due process. You don't believe in the United States Constitution. You don't believe there should be actual trials. That all it takes is an accusation to put someone in prison. If that's the country you're talking about, a bunch of your conservative supporters and friends are not going to buy in that. They're not going to buy that an accusation with no evidence is enough to put someone in prison. That's not America. So you should be careful the road you're going down, Congressman.
I just don't believe in you.
You don't have to. That's not the question. The Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, the Republican Supreme Court said it.
You stepped on Americans to help out illegals, and you consistently have done that, and you can't accept the fact that New York is depopulating because of that. That
has nothing to do with it. Congressman, the Republican majority Supreme Court,
and they know it.
Because the Republican majority on the Supreme Court called for this.
This has gone on for too long, and you all know it, and it's destroyed a once vibrant, beautiful city. And now you're dealing with, you're having to deal with the facts that you've got criminals in this country that you've allowed to be here, and you've accommodated.
You don't know much about our city, my friend.
You can see, however, Mayor, I'll give you the last word in all of this. Yeah. Listen, the fact of the matter is this becomes conflated with people's feelings about illegal immigration in this country, and the fact that the Biden administration did a poor job stemming it.
Amen.
And we have been overrun. So what is happening right now is there are a lot of people who are willing to look past, oh, an accusation is not a conviction. Right. An accusation is not even evidence, because they just want the illegal immigrants out.
And that, I 100% agree that anyone violent, anyone dangerous needs to be out of here.
But not anybody here illegally.
Hold on. I think Democrats did not do a good enough job. I agree with you. But now, what we're not talking about that. We're talking about, is our Constitution going to be honored? Is our Supreme Court going to be honored? Are our liberties going to be honored? The whole reason America exists is because the British would put people in prison just on accusation that they were patriots, right? That our whole Constitution is based on the fact that we know what tyranny felt like. And now you got people saying, well, you know what? We don't need those rules anymore. We don't need due process. We don't need rights. You know, an accusation is good enough. Again, I think there's a lot of conservative people, a lot of libertarian people are like, wait a minute, that's dangerous. That could happen to us next, our own family next. not just the illegal or undocumented immigrant. It could happen to any of us if we keep going down this road.
It would be wonderful if the administration would show the public the evidence that they say they have, that Abrego Garcia is a member of this gang, because that would put to bed a lot of the concerns that, not a lot of them, but some of the concerns that you raise. Mayor Bill de Blasio, Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you both so much for the spirited discussion. We appreciate it in this Easter week. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.